making her debut, coming to the stage, is going to be a name you will not forget because she bangs. And I mean, she bangs. Give it up for Holly Bangs, baby.
Hey, everybody, having fun? All right, well, I am the product of an evangelical Christian upbringing. So I'm going to take you to church and tell you what that was like and how that prepared me for my life. So my parents met on the Ocean City, New Jersey boardwalk, where they were there from two different groups to tell people about Jesus. So they didn't have a whole lot to tell me about how to find love, right? Apparently, you know, groups in two different states think that the place where people need to learn about God is New Jersey, which makes a lot of sense if you've been there, okay? So, you know, my parents did try to teach me the birds and the bees. My mom gave me an illustrated book about sex, because that's how we communicate in my family, is in writing, okay? And to a very sheltered young woman, 5th grader, it was pretty shocking, right? I mean, can you remember the first time you learned about it? So afterwards, I had 2 questions for Mom. First question, did you and Dad ever do this? To which she shamefacedly nods, yes. And question 2, can I keep my underwear on when I do it? Because, you know, it's invasive, at least for a woman when you first learn about it. And she's like, no, you know, although I have since learned that that's not technically the case. You guys like that? Okay. So, I mean, there were lots of crazy times growing up, lots of things that the church came up, you know, for us to do. They took us down one time as middle schoolers to West Philadelphia, which, if you've never had the pleasure, is a rough part of town, okay? And somebody had the bright idea to take down a bunch of hormonal teenagers who are extremely sheltered and let them loose to tell people about God, okay? It's terrifying, okay? My friend and I are walking along looking for some notches on our belt of conversions. You know, we would come back to the bus with the most conversions. And some very gracious homeless people allowed us to talk with them and pray with them. Thank God, kept us out of worse trouble. And, you know, when I think back, I've got some distance now. When I think back to the religion, what I still don't get is that some very common sense things are forbidden, right? Like swear words are bad. I didn't say the F word until I was a sophomore in college. We weren't allowed to celebrate Halloween because that was considered associated with Lucifer, right? We couldn't watch music videos, no MTV, no VH1. I mean, we had to sneak it at our friends' houses, right? But then on the other hand, on Sunday mornings, while the adults are up in the service, they're showing us these videos about the end of the world. Okay, I don't know how familiar you are with you know, really right-wing Christian theology, but they have some fascinating details about Armageddon, like the end of the world, right? And so there was this video series produced in the 80s called Left Behind. Okay, somebody remembers that? It starred Kirk Cameron, remember from Growing Pains? And so, you know, there's all details like the Antichrist is going to come down and the Christians have to get the mark of the beast, and if they don't get the mark of the beast, they get their heads chopped off. And they're, you know, showing this in the video, like there's a guillotine and you see the heads drop off into the basket, and we're 11, you know? So, my mom actually said to me one time, if you're ever being burnt at the stake, okay, I'm dead serious, no pun intended. She said, inhale the fumes before the fire starts to melt your skin off. Thanks, Mom. That's really helped me make it out here in LA. You can start to see why I didn't expect to really graduate high school before the world ended, but it didn't end. I've still got my head on my shoulders, and I moved out here to California. What a relief, okay? It's so chill out here. Out here, the end of the world is when the freeway is blocked off for a month, okay, or when it rains. Right. So, you know, I can handle that. So, you know, I came out here, met a lot of interesting people, started, you know, eating some really nice food, right? Don't you love that about LA? Everything is here, right? And riding my bike at the beach. I mean, you know, back east, you don't do stuff like ride your bike, right? So, I mean, I just love the pace out here, right? So, but my parents were nervous. They were suspicious. What am I up to? They know I'm not going to church anymore, right? So they started referring to my life out here as my lifestyle, right? Made it sound so exciting. I mean, I went to bed at 9:30, then as now. You know, speaking of which, it's getting up there on my bedtime right now. Okay, and so not long after I was out here, I get a call from my parents. It was not long after Y2K when I came out here. You guys remember all that? And so people were kind of on edge, a little hysterical, and my mom calls me up and she says, and I can hear my dad on the extension. Okay, so they're both on the call, and she says, look, we've been thinking, and in the event of the rapture, you guys heard about the rapture where the Christians disappear? She says, we want you to have a place to go, so we're putting the house in your name. I'm serious, I'm not making, this is not a bit, okay? And I'm like, thank you? And then I'm like, but what about Nate, like my brother? And then I'm like, oh, I guess he's going with you. All right, you guys, thank you, you've been great. I'm on Instagram as comedian Holly Bangs, okay? Follow me.